I want to welcome you back to the school year, to our E3 conference. This is one of my favorite days of the year. When the staff comes back and you get a chance to see people you haven't seen for a while, reconnect with your colleagues, reconnect with your friends. I think this is just a really great day. And we're doing things just a touch differently today because we are going to do this like a conference, like last year. And they thought if we did a keynote type address, and that's, I guess, my role in this is to do a keynote to sort of set the stage for the school year. And the biggest thing is I want to make sure that we continue the work that we've done. I don't want to ever come to you every year and say we're going to do this different and this different and this different. I want to show some connections as to what is similar and what will be things that we will focus in on for this school year. So welcome to the E3 conference. The first part about this conversation, and I just want to have a conversation with you. So I thought I'd be up here on stage and just talk with you and not to you about things that we've done. Last year I asked you, why? Why do we exist as an organization? Why did you get into education personally? Why did you get up this morning to come into work or come into school? I mean, there's lots of questions that we have, and last year we reflected upon that. And you may have had some thoughts, and you may have had changes in your life. Your why personally may have changed. Your why professionally may have changed some. So before we really jump into this year, let's reflect on last year and think about, for just a few moments, maybe 30 seconds to yourself, what is your why this morning? Why are you here today? And if you would, share with your elbow partner a little bit about your why this morning, and we'll start with that. Like I said, I love the connecting and getting back, and I know I'm on a little bit of a time frame, so I'm going to continue on. I appreciate the conversation that you're having. One thing that you may or may not know is the why for the district was set by the Board of Education. A few years ago, we did some visioning along the lines of what does the community expect from us. And we call this the E3 conference because it means educate, empower, and equip students for life. And if you're new to Harper Creek, that may be new to you, but if you've been here for a while, I'm sure that's not new. But the Board of Education has set the why for the district and the community, but we have to set our own personal why. The next natural step in the process is how. How are we going to go do this? How are we going to make this happen? And so there's a lot of thought that goes into that. Again, the Board of Education tried to set the how for all of us as a community by doing our board goals. And I think that most of you will be familiar with this. We annually go through them to make sure that they are up to date and they make sense. And they really haven't changed. The 5 main goals: student achievement, safe and nurturing environment, student, family, and community engagement. We have talent, recruitment, and development, and that's for you. We're in a different state in education right now. There isn't a lot of people going into the education profession, and so recruiting people to come in and then developing you is really critically important. And then the last one for the board is financial health. Well, that's good enough. I mean, the board has this set for us, but let's face it, our how are we going to do things really isn't set by the Board of Education. It's set by this group of people and what we do. So last year I read a book by Patrick Lencioni called The Advantage, and it really helped me understand how to set an organization up, because one thing that I noticed last year, and I don't want to say this in a negative manner, but the culture of the school seemed a little bit different. And what I saw when I walked around, or when I was in your classrooms, or I was talking to you at Coffee and Donuts, was a lot of people who were frustrated by behaviors that they were seeing in classrooms. maybe frustrated by some of the blame game that's going on with outside factors, legislators, community, parents, maybe even students, where there's blame going on. It's everybody else's fault. And so thinking about the culture, I really wanted to figure out, what do we believe in as an organization? All of you. Not me necessarily, but all of you and all of us. And so I sat down with the leadership team with this Patrick Lencioni book, and one of the things in the process is to come up with core values. What do you believe in as an organization? And quite honestly, what do you believe in as a person? And so I'm going to propose to you 3 core values, because Lencioni thought that 3 was about the right number when he looked at successful organizations. And so the first core value that I'm going to propose, and I'm going to ask for your input. Later on, throughout the year, early in September, I'm going to be asking for you to give me some feedback about these core values or what you think. But the first core value is joy. We want to make sure that you have joy in your work. And I want you to be really careful, because joy does not mean happiness. I don't expect you to walk in with a big giant smile on your face and be happy all the time. That's not what we're talking about. Happiness is a temporary emotion. Joy is when you get meaning. Meaning in your work, meaning in your life. And so for me, when I look at joy and say, what really brings me joy at work, joy for me is when people achieve their dreams. You have goals, you have ambitions. There might be things that you want to do within your work life and within your career, and I want to help you get to that point. You may have noticed when I sit down at Donuts and you give me lots of ideas, because Donuts is for 2 things. It's not just for concerns and things that we need to change. It's also ideas that you might have and you might want to bring forward. And so when I listen to those ideas, a lot of times, those ideas come to fruition eventually. Maybe not the next day, maybe not in a month, but 6 months from now, a year from now, there's lots of things that you have told me that have come to fruition. So for me, I get joy in that. For you, you might get joy in different ways. Some examples, like if you are someone that runs, or maybe you're not someone that runs but decided to, and you ran your first 5K, maybe you ran your first 10K or your first marathon, those people, when they finish, are not happy. I'm telling you, I've seen it. They look like they're, wow, this is really hard. But when they finish, the joy that you get is the meaning, because it was hard work. My other example is, it's just something that I think you've seen it. Have you ever been to a 7th grade basketball game, and they play about 12 games, and let's say you're 8 or 9 games into the season, and this one basketball player goes down and shoots the basket and actually makes their first shot. And the reaction that child has. I mean, they're going down and they're doing this stuff, and they're excited, they're fist pumping like Tiger Woods at the Masters. They're doing all kinds of stuff. That's the joy that we can get from kids. But they can also get joy in learning something new that they didn't know. It took them a really hard time to get something and they get it. Or maybe it's even learning something that they're really interested in. That's how we can get joy. I would like to take a couple of moments for us to think about what brings you joy and what brings you joy in life. So if I could get the administrators to hand out some Post-it notes, and I want full transparency, because I don't want you to feel like I'm going to do something with these notes, because I am going to do something with them. They're anonymous, so don't put your name on them. But I would like to take all these Post-it notes and post them publicly. So whatever you write down, we're going to post. I would like for you to think and write down what brings you joy in life. And so, because I want to be transparent, I better do it first, right? So what brings me joy in life? Well, lots of things do, but I would say right now, in my place in life, what brings me the most joy in life is when my family, my small group of people that are with me are at peace. That they're happy and they feel like they're in a really good spot. That brings me joy to see everybody together. So you may have your own. And I know that we're passing out the Post-it notes, and it may take a minute. I probably didn't think this through enough. But please do that. You see the pictures of the different kinds of joy from our kids? I mean, this was a real robotics competition, and they had just won that competition, and that's a really good sign of, getting to that really hard thing. So again, write down, if you would, what brings you joy in life, to start with. Brandon, can you flip it to the next slide? The one, I think pass that to the, yeah, right there. Thank you. Joy in life. You know, don't think too hard about it. It's just real simple. Your friends, your family, whatever it happens to be. Now, second thing, because you're going to have 2 post-it notes I'd like for you to turn in and then we'll post. The second thing is, what brings you joy at work? What things are there that bring you joy at work? We all know we work with kids. So what is it that causes you to have joy at work? And please write that down. Hopefully you have a pen. If not, your neighbor will. Or your neighbor will. Or the one next to them will. Someone will. And what I'm going to have you do is save those, and as you walk out of the auditorium, we'll collect them, and then we will post those. One thing that is interesting that you may not understand is none of us, I don't think, are wanting to be in a situation where you don't feel joy. So if I can see the things that give you joy, I want to do more of that. Whatever that is, whatever those things that give you joy, I want to do more of that. And the things that don't bring you joy, I want to do less of that. We're going to try really hard. Because there's certain things that we do we have to do, but we want to do more of the stuff that brings us joy. So that's the first core value. The second core value that I'd like to propose this morning is heart for people. Heart for people, it's easy in education. We got into this business for the most part because we care about people and kids and we want to help. But the piece of heart for people I want to emphasize today is assuming positive intent. So, in this room, we're going to have some conflicts amongst adults, amongst our colleagues. You may not agree with somebody. Somebody may say or do something that upsets you. I want to make sure that we have a heart for people and we assume positive intent in those situations. Because it's easy to go negative. It's easy to say, oh, that person's doing this on purpose. They're making my life hard. You know, it may be a student that tries to make your life hard, a parent. It may be your administrator, your principal. It could be me. I want you to assume positive intent because I don't think most people walk in with negative intent. I don't think most people want to make your life more difficult. And so if we can do that amongst ourselves and then help kids understand positive intent, help our parents understand positive intent. We've all been in that situation. A parent gets upset with you because their child comes home and tells them, this is what happened in the classroom, and can you believe the teacher said this? And we all been there, and we didn't intend to make anybody upset, but we want to make sure that the parent walks in the door with positive intent, is curious as to what happened, and not making assumptions of the worst. So that is going to be a piece of heart for people that I think is going to be critically important for us. And you can see some of the pictures behind me. I mean, we have a lot of heart for people. We have staff, we have students, we have all kinds of people doing great work, and we don't want to forget that. The third core value that I want to talk about this morning, and the last one, and the last thing that is proposed that we would like to get some input on, is belief in yourself, or believe in yourself. I want all of you to believe in yourself. I want you to help students believe in themselves as well. But as a staff, what I mean by believing in yourself is believe in your abilities. You all, actually I'll say it differently. I have a firm belief that the collective skills and the collective things that are in this room are going to make us a great school. We're a very good school at Harper Creek. We are very good. We have lots of great things going on, but I want to take us from very good to great. And how does that happen? Well, it's from you. I believe the best ideas bubble up from the classroom, or bubble up from wherever you are making. Maybe if you're a bus driver and you're driving the bus and you have an idea of how to make things better, the best ideas bubble up from where the action is taking place. The best ideas don't come from me. You know, I may have ideas, but the best ones come from you. And if we have the belief in ourselves that when I walk in the door, or Laura walks in the door, or your principal, or your colleague, and you say, okay, I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to say what my idea is. Or I might say, I have a real concern that we're doing something that isn't going towards our mission. Educate them how we equip, Rob? I don't think that's happening. I think that we need to do stuff differently, and this is an idea that I have. I want you to have and be able to step up and say, I believe in myself enough to do that. And vice versa with our kids. We want them to believe in themselves. They can do anything that they put their mind to, that they can be successful. All of our kids can be successful. It may be different. The success that they have might look and feel different for every child, but everybody can be successful. Read, write, everybody can understand math. And we have to believe that and help them understand that to have that belief inside of themselves. And if we can do those three things, in my opinion, have joy and not just happiness, not just walking in with a smile on your face, but real meaning in our work. If we can have a heart for people and we believe in ourselves, I think that we can move towards becoming the great school. And we're the school of choice here in Battle Creek, folks. When people want to come here, we do great things. Okay, we need to make sure that everything we do matches up with that. Our achievement scores, what we do in the classroom, how well our kids do outside after school, after they graduate, or after they move on. What do they do next in life? We want to make sure that happens. The last thing I want to talk about this morning is the Professional Learning Community Institute that 22 of my friends in the audience and myself attended 2 weeks ago. We really were moved by this conference, or this institute. We do PLCs, right? I mean, we have PLCs, you're probably on a PLC, but we don't necessarily do it with full integrity because the research is very clear. And I think you've heard this before. The teacher is the number one effect on a child and how well they achieve. Number one. Number two is teachers or people collaborating together, working towards the same goal. That's the number two effect side. So we can really change how well students do based on good teaching and working together. And PLCs are all about collaboration. The PLCs that we've been doing, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that we need to be more intentional, and we learned that. I would say that the folks that went to the PLC Institute, the biggest moment where we sat down and talked and they said, okay, now I understand, is bringing all the pieces together. And so I think that there's a slide that has all these things that we've talked about the last 2 or 3 years. So last year we did this curriculum work with power standards, and then we unpacked them, and now we want to make units, and we want to do all this common formative assessment. We did restorative practices, we've done trauma training, all these things that we've done, the people there said, I see how it fits together. So if we do professional learning communities correctly, the first thing is a guaranteed and viable curriculum. What are those standards? The small number of standards, the power standards that every student needs to know and understand. That's the first step. We've done the hard work. That hard work, I say done is a bad word, but we have done a lot of work towards that goal. And so that's there. And everything else fits in. Interventions. I mean, we talked about intervention time and how to use it. This all fits together. And so we felt really empowered when we walked out. And so what we're going to do, I don't want to sit today and tell you, well, this is a PLC and this is how you do it. Throughout this entire school year, we're going to ensure that you understand and have the basics for what a PLC is. And how we can get time. And this is probably the key point. How do we get time to collaborate with people doing the same job as you are within the school day? And really working together to say, how do we get the time so that you don't come before school or after school, it's during school time. And so we're going to work hard. I'm going to work hard, and I want you to work hard as well with ideas to make that happen. We need to meet at least once a week to make this work right. Once a month isn't going to do it. We've got to do it once a week. And I'm not going to say this is something extra. I want to do this instead of something else. So we got to figure that piece out. The last part about the PLC Institute that came up is we saw a video that was pretty powerful. And I want to show you, and this is a shortened version of the same video by a guy named Mike Matos. You don't probably know who that is. He was a teacher, he was a principal, and he did a pretty good job with implementing professional learning communities at the district that he was at. He's honestly a pretty powerful speaker. Probably a little bit more powerful than me, but we all have our skills. We all have what we have. I'm giving it my best shot, but I want you to listen to this and see what the impact on you is. Our goal
as educators shouldn't be that we want most kids to succeed, be a good school for most kids. We want to be a great school for every child. So how do you build both the sense of urgency and context for asking a school who's already doing really, really well to embrace the mission of, we don't want most kids to make it, we're going to ensure every child makes it. In this coming school year, over 1 million students will drop out of school. It's a call to arms. It's an understanding and acknowledgement of how important our work is.
Okay, for us, we need to ensure every single one of our kids, our students, are successful. Success is measured on different levels. They don't all have to get a perfect score on whatever test we give them. But we do have to ensure that they feel success, that they feel self-confidence, that we do anything and everything in our power for them to be empowered, equipped, educated. We want that to happen. You are the people that are going to make that happen. I appreciate all of you. I may not always have the opportunity, and sometimes I send out district emails, but I'm telling you, I appreciate what you do. I understand the frustrations. I understand sometimes we don't have enough resources or finances or time to make everything happen that we want to have happen. But know that you make a difference every single day in children's lives. You are the difference. You are the biggest impact size on anyone. And it's not just teachers. We got bus drivers, we have paraprofessionals, we have secretaries and administrators. All of your work is important, and I want you to understand that when you walk out today and you go into that first day of school on Wednesday, that you are making a difference. You're making a difference for kids and in children's lives. Do not forget that. I'm just going to leave you with this. We have to have high hopes for the future of our children. We need to make sure that everybody has a hopeful future. Thank you, and I hope you have a great conference today.